Okay, we're looking good. Here's how it's working, though. The mic is recording. Yeah, and for once, you actually peaked off the scale, so I think it's actually recording the right way.
Holy crap.
Say Superman like your General Zod. Come to me, Superman.
Come to me, Superman. I don't know what. Come to me, son of L.
Okay, you're good. Superman, come to me. So this is Superman. What? You know that's the girl the girl. That's the actress from Superman 3 actually did the Richard Lester brought her in to dub Sarah Douglas. So that's why she goes in certain scenes from she goes in certain scenes from and what he did, was amazing. And then all of a sudden she sounds like hello, Miss Vulcan. No, she sounds like Vera from Superman 3. Think about that, like especially in the Donner cut, there's a lot of it because what, you hit a woman, and you realize that her voice just completely changes, right? Let us take his favorite. It's Vera. Pay close attention. It's Vera. It's crazy, and that's why Lester liked her and then cast her in number 3. Yeah,
I never knew that.
Yeah, I've always noticed, but I always thought movies the voice dub change.
I just thought it was like a change when she like recorded.
Yeah, and then of course for us, we got a lot of edited stuff on TV. So like the diehards were the worst ones when he's just like, yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon, and you're just like, that was not Bruce Willis,
right,
unless he sat on the microphone. But anyways, so yeah, I just thought it was that. But yeah, apparently I don't remember where I heard it, but somebody said yeah, that's whatever her name is. So I was like, yeah, that's cool, and. Man, they got to bring Feora back for the next one. Just because I want to see her. Maybe like, yeah, I know. Or maybe she like went into like the Phantom Zone where Supergirl was, so like Feora's like walking around and falls into like that really strangely sensual mud pit that Helen Slater got stuck in. Don't look at me like you weren't strangely aroused at 5 years old. What's going on here? I don't understand. And we're talking about like what's underneath the shorts, not what's in the movie. No, but anyways.
From the Valley Floor in Central California, this is the Fandom's Finest Podcast. With your host, the Spirit of Film, and today's special guest sidekick, the Scrapsta.
So Supergirl's a whole other topic, but I mean, I just look at the state of Superman, tonight on GCTV, Gotham City TV. Hosted by Mike Angle.
Mike Angle.
Yeah. So everybody's like, "What a name, Mike Angle." I'm like, okay, it's obviously he's obviously a broadcasting name. Like he changed his name, And so like the kid from the Breakfast Club grew up, moved to Gotham City, and changed his name to Mike Angle, so that nobody would remember he was the kid from the Breakfast Club, right? One of the best, worst movies of all time, and that is the formula. The formula they decided to use for Spider-Man Homecoming, apparently, which I now refuse to see. But anyways, because of that, the total flip of the script compared to where I was last time. But the one place I have never flipped the script, and I think you will attest to this, is when it comes to my main man. He doesn't like to be called man. He likes to be called by his full name, Superman. I don't know, man. Where do you think things are with the character? I bought those Justice League pop vinyls for Superman, and I'm just like, man, this is the first legitimate time I felt a little bit happy about him in a very long time.
Well, I'm a little bit less optimistic, to be honest. I'm kind of in a weird state where it just feels a little weird. Like, on one hand, I want to get a little bit positive. Like, they treated him with respect in Batman vs. Superman, which is something that, with the history, especially with The Dark Knight Returns, I so thought would not happen. I thought they were going to go the complete, Superman's the bad dude out of this whole thing, and Batman's just going to beat him up. So, that not being the case, I came out of it like, I should be a little bit happy, but then you get things like the comics, and I think I've mentioned this before, where they had the whole Justice League versus Suicide Squad comic, and Superman, and the first time they get into the big battle, he just completely, he's there basically to make someone else look good. He's fighting Killer Frost, I believe. Oh, no. He's fighting Enchantress, I think. I don't remember who it was. And at some point, he has an advantage, and then they're just like, oh, whatever. And then he gets all, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to the fight. I'm going to go ahead and try and reason with this person, and then gets cheap-shotted and knocked out. And he's pretty much one of the only members of the Justice League to lose their fight with the Suicide Squad. For the most part, they're being wiped out. But, Superman has to lose his fight, and as a matter of fact, he's essentially the cause of them losing that fight, because they end up, at the end, like, all of them are gathered together. Justice League is basically tossing all the Suicide Squad members down.
And Batman goes up and slaps Superman in the face and grabs him by the throat. You're the reason we lost. Gives him the Shawn Michaels super kick like Booker T, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was a comic book. It wasn't Bruce Timm's animated.
And
animated.
So things like that, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a little disheartening. And then you have the Justice League, when you mentioned you got the pops for that, that's the most conflicting of it all for me. Because here you have everything leading up to it, all the merchandise, all the trailers and everything. He's not there. And so it's kind of like, how do you have it and just throw Superman to the side? At the same time, though...
Well, he's dead, so...
Yeah, I get that, but they still throw him on merchandise. They still have a toy that came out. They have a pop that came out. And the one thing that kind of leaves me, like, hopeful, though, is that last trailer that came out. He's not there, but his presence is felt. I mean, you have Batman over there basically putting him over on the trailer. I don't know how that's used in the movie. That might be a bad thing when he's putting him over. It might be like, oh, Superman got taken over. Here's why we're screwed, because Superman meant this and now he doesn't, or whatever.
Yes, Superman brought out the best in people, but I'm going to bring out greater in you. Yeah. Greatness.
It could be something.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that, his music it's his music that's playing during the trailer. That's the Superman theme. I don't know if that's Danny Elfman. If it is, I'm a little hopeful for him doing the soundtrack, But yeah, it's like, okay, so his music is playing when they go with the big cuts and all the action shots, and then you have Batman putting over how important he is to the world. So
it's
where
crazy.
It really comes in is when after Flash says, I don't fight. I just wish, but then that's when his music really starts playing.
You're right, though. I'm really hoping I'm just hoping that's the theme of the Justice League. And I had that thought, too, that Superman's theme should be. Superman's theme should be the Justice League theme, but that's the thing. It's like they're giving me that little tiny tease,
right?
So like they're stringing me along, right? And that's where you've gotten frustrated, because you texted me about that Suicide Squad thing, and I remember reading it, and I guess it was with the comics. I think we're flipped. I've totally given up on the comics, right? But it's because I loved almost everything they were doing with that Futures End series, and I had. Man, it's the only series in recent, my own recent timeline history here, right? That, like, I have the entire series, and I have variant covers of several issues, and I just ate it all up. And then there's that grand, epic, sequence of Superman. He's wearing the New 52 get-up, the T-shirt and the boots and everything, right? Superman blue jeans, and he's flying in, and it looks so epic. It looks like something out of Superman 3, the best parts of Superman 3 imagery mixed with the trailers from Man of Steel. And like you said, he flies in, he's got the fighter jets next to him, and you can see the air moving past him so fast, you can almost hear the whoosh and the jets behind him. Like, man, how epic would that be on screen? Right. And he shows up in the city, flies right into the freaking fist of the villain, gets knocked into like a building, and just gets completely slapped around. And then all that epicness is gone, and I think he walks up and talks to somebody, and it's just like, really? Like, again? Like, come on. I mean, it's what Jim Cornette talks about with, classic wrestling booking. He always says, I'm not a writer for wrestling, I'm a booker, right? And I respect Jim Cornette a great deal for a lot of different reasons. He's right. If you have a guy, that goes for the championship time and time again, and then just gets, destroyed. And I mean, like the way Roman Reigns got destroyed by Braun Strowman, right? He just beat him, like he left him for dead in the middle of nowhere, like. And then if you'd imagine, then they keep putting the guy on, so they keep having these setups and these moments, and then it just gets destroyed, right. Like the worst beating you've seen of all time, right? I mean, it's worse than, like, for you sports fans out there, it's worse than like the Buffalo Bills going to 4 straight Super Bowls and losing, right? Imagine if they went 5 straight years and lost by 50 points each time. You would never look at the Buffalo Bills as being anything other than a tragedy. So that's how they've been treating Superman, for so long. In the comics, anyways, I mean, you get the point. It's just, that's why I've given up on them. And if it wasn't for what Batman versus Superman did, right, they exorcised the demon of the Dark Knight Returns, the demon of Frank Miller, right? If they hadn't have done that, I would have zero hope. I probably wouldn't even be a DC fan anymore.
Yeah, that's I mean, and part of it, I get it, because I guess they have, like, the same issue. I was watching a random thing on Wolverine a few months ago, and they basically kind of put out that he's in that same situation that Superman, where he's basically used to put people over. Like, oh, you want to sell this as a threat? Kick this guy's butt,
Yeah.
And I get it to a certain point, but then here's where my issue with that logic is because you got to go with put over the top, or you got to kind of, the guy who's always the guy, that's how you sell the beating in their mind. It's like, well, Superman's the guy, so we always have him to sell a big threat. He gets taken out to show how big of a threat it is.
Yeah.
But it always falls in the same kind of pattern where it's like, if he gets knocked down and then here comes Batman, and that's happened so long that Batman's kind of that top guy that it's like, okay, hold on, shouldn't we change it at this point? Shouldn't it be like, here comes a big threat, here comes Batman, Batman gets taken down because he's the guy who's always showing up and always fixing things. So you almost have to get to a point, if you're gonna do things right, to flip it instead of just, they've gone and stuck it with, here's Superman.
And I'm
getting beat up.
I'm someone I'm a very big Batman fan, as I've always said. I'm a very big Batman fan, right up to the point of over the top Frank Miller, over the top Bruce Timm universe. Right. You're right. They've turned Batman into Mighty Mouse.
Right. He's
literally, he is, here I come here I come to save the game, or save that. He might as well say that, right? Like, because I mean, here I come to save the gay Superman. That's almost the way they treat him they treat Superman in a derogatory way, like he's some character to be belittled. Spirit here, cutting into my own podcast. Just thought I'd clear that up for a second there, because I spoke so fast that I was referencing to what another comment that I had made, because I noticed since childhood, people have treated the character of Superman and used the derogatory terms, or used in derogatory ways, a term like gay or homosexual, and meant it in bad ways. Back when you could get away with that kind of stuff, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and that was something that was always around. So that's what I was getting at there, that it's almost in a derogatory way. People used to say that, and that's what I meant by what Batman might say that, in a joking way there. But with everything going on these days, I thought I'd clarify that just for my friends out there, so nobody got the wrong idea. I'm sure haters going to hate anyways, but I just wanted to clarify. Back to the podcast. Up, and away. Here I come to save the day, because Superman's an idiot,
Right.
Like, seriously, like, it might as well be that. Like, and that's the thing you mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned Wolverine, because you reminded me that old 90s. I love that 90s X-Men series, right? It's just that X-Men series in the 90s, the cartoon series, the Saturday morning cartoons. That for me was my first real, you know what? I can put down DC and put down these classic, the Shadow comic books and stuff. I like this. I can check out other stuff. I'm not just a DC fan, or just I really like my family and stuff. Always had a lot of collectibles from the Shadow and the Serial days, right? So it's like, wow, and that got me into the whole Jim Lee and all that stuff going on with the X-Men and so it was, and you're so right. Wolverine was such a freaking hardcore badass in that cartoon, like he was in so many of the comics. And my cousin was the biggest Wolverine fan. And I remember that episode where, man, it shook me to the core, because that's how you do it. It works, right?
Right.
It works that you set up Wolverine as a badass, and then they get to the episode 3 seasons in, I think, and it's Proteus. And Proteus just freaking wigs out Wolverine and makes him thinks his claws have turned into snakes, and Wolverine's like having he's crying like a little child, right? And it goes, whoa, holy crap! That's supposed to be that moment, like, whoa, holy crap, right? And I remember my cousin was the biggest Wolverine fan. He just hated it, right? And that's what it's supposed to be, though. And then Wolverine, he winds up off by himself, and Rogue is trying to comfort him or something, right? That's the way it's supposed to work, right? But if you did that episode after episode, year after year, decade after decade, generation after generation,
big event after big event.
Yeah, exactly. Then he's just nothing but a whipping boy, right? And it's so sad because Wolverine. Right now, Wolverine is in a phase where everybody's talking about, like, I notice everybody's like, well, if we kill him, then who takes over this? Or since Wolverine, like, they're talking about him like he's, like you said, he's an over with type of character. Well, since he's going to die, or since he's died, and since Wolverine is old and decrepit, and they're already just saying that, like, writing him off in a matter-of-fact way. And that's exactly, like you said, that's exactly the problem you would have with a character. But for DC, it's a big character.
Yeah.
They continue to try to make Superman movies. They continue to try to make big events with him. Well, you're cutting your own legs off.
Right. I was gonna say, like, the big issue there is, as big as Wolverine is, he's not the guy who they throw on. He's not like their franchise guy. I mean, they have like Spider-Man now with the movies that kind of throw out Iron Man or the Avengers, but still, those are kind of the ones that they put in. So even though Wolverine's extremely popular, it's not the same negative impact, because Superman, they still put him on there. He's still like one. That's another sad thing. He's one of the two biggest. Used to be just their man. He used to be the franchise. He's still a franchise guy. Yeah. He's not the franchise, but they have their one of the franchise characters, and they just throw him every big event. Like, okay, now it's time to put this guy over, so make Superman look like a chump.
Yeah, exactly.
Set up Batman for the big save.
Yeah, exactly. And they wouldn't take now, with the situation as it is now, you wouldn't take Tony Stark and after Infinity War 1, let Robert Downey Jr. walk away and then bring in like John C. Reilly and say he's the new Iron Man, Tony Stark. And why? Well, because, not only can he be such a goofy guy and bring lots of laughs, but like he always plays like, the kind of like, he's very good at playing the kind of victim of circumstance, very downtrodden type of characters, right? Even in his comedy movies, right? And it's like, and he's not the brightest guy. He just tries hard. It's like, wait a minute, that's not Tony Stark. Right. That's not Iron Man. That's not how it's supposed to work. And like you said, so many is it that Warner Brothers and DC, do they not understand that, like you said, Superman is this grandiose, grand, epic character that encompasses their entire universe, can carry their mantle, and Batman is just as large, but he's over there that way in the gritty world. It's like if they're in New York City, Superman's the Empire State Building, and Batman is, all these other great landmarks, in or not Gotham, but in New York, right? He's just that. It's like I said, Superman's the iconic landmark that lets you know for sure that's New York, right? Batman is sort of like the beautiful view from Staten Island or through the Statue of Liberty into the city or through the bridge into the city. Like, Batman is that other part of it, right? You don't see New York say, well, it's an old building and blah, 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 and, we need to give work to the steel workers in our country, so we're going to tear down the Empire State Building, and it's a piece of crap anyways, and, we'll give the steel workers something to do. We have to do it because times have changed. It's like, what? You wouldn't do that with your... I've never seen anything like this. I've seen other examples of it, but not with a character, like you said, that's supposed to be, you're... and that's the worry that they... I don't have any faith that they do, but I hope that they realize they're still walking a very dangerous line with Superman. If they don't play this right in the next few years, and probably a 5-year window... Superman is just going to become the kind of Mickey Mouse. Like, Mickey Mouse is always in the corner of the old VHS tapes, or I haven't looked. There's so many new covers now, but it was always like Mickey Mouse in his Fantasia costume with the little the wizard mouse, right? And off in the corner, or it's like it's all these other movies, and then it's like Mickey Mouse giving you a thumbs up. Like, that's what it'd be. Superman would just be flying over the top of the DVD or the comic book. He's flying, carrying in both of his hands, he's carrying the DC logo and kind of smiling, winking at you and everything, right? And then, like you said, then it's 100-foot tall, Batman beating up the whole world and stuff. And it's like, they've even gotten to a point where Batman is unsure. he's almost dangerously close because they're overusing him in all the wrong ways and starting to, it's all about the Bat family and there's we're not gonna get into Rebirth. That's a whole nother thing. But like, well, that again that shook me to my little DC core because I'm like, if they're gonna do it to Batman now and try to use Batman to get a bunch of other, not just one, but they're trying to use Batman in Batman's world, Batman's mythology. They're trying to put over several other books, several other storylines, several other characters. I'm not sure they realize how that can work out. It can backfire on Batman too. A lot of people are unsure about Batman, the movies franchise and stuff because, it's not Nolan anymore. Nolan's off doing his own thing and not a lot of people are sold on Affleck still, right? And then of course the whole downtrodden look at the DC universe, right? So it's understandable, but it's still something that worries me in all the wrong ways for DC.
Well, when you bring up the whole Batman topic, I mean, it's kind of, I can't help but look at like how they're using Superman and then how they are using Batman, where he's, as we said, he's kind of like event after event. Superman is like, okay, we need this to be big, make Superman look like a chump, and then Batman basically being a part of what solves everything, whether he's directly involved or whether he's the one that puts it together and is like, oh guys, this is what you need to do. I can't do it, but I know all the ways to do it because I'm Batman.
Yeah.
And and then you have things where, I don't know, it's just over dependency on him. Like they had, I mean, you're the one who alerted me to this when they had this poster that they gave away at the Comic-Con for Justice League.
Oh, the Lego poster.
The Lego poster.
Yeah.
And it has all of the members there. You have Cyborg, you have Superman, you have Wonder Woman, you have Aquaman, you have Flash. All about the same size on the poster.
They're Lego figures.
Yeah, they're Lego figures, about like a Lego figure would be. And then you have this giant Lego Batman that encompasses...
He's the size of Godzilla.
Yeah, he's like, okay, well, he's not in scale with anybody else, and he's just like the center point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think that same weekend, it might have been the weekend after that, I went to Toys R Us, and I came across like the first bit of, I think it was the second bit of Justice League merchandise I saw. They had a tote bag that had the members of the League on it. It had, here's a double fold why this was already like, okay, well, you're going too dangerous on it. You had Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash on it, all the same size, and then you have in the center a giant Batman who's like takes up most of the space, and you have the other guys sharing a little bit around him. And they made such a big deal about putting Batman in front and center that guess what? You guys left Cyborg off of the bag.
Oh my, wow.
And this day and age,
wow.
To make that mistake, I mean, I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about it yet.
Well, again, I'm not surprised. I just found out recently that the Force Awakens Monopoly game doesn't have Rey in it. I don't know. I mean, and we're not even, you and I are not even the biggest, like we're not like everybody else, like we don't see Rey. Okay, I shouldn't speak for you, but I don't see Rey Skywalker. I mean, Rey as the Rey Palpatine, the girl in the movie Rey, folks, the desert girl, that knows everything for no reason. I don't see her as a character in the universe until the next movie comes out. For right now, I don't see her as this like epically grand, seminal character that changed the entire direction of the universe. Now, the next film could change that, probably will, but as far as like women's empowerment and all that, sure, yeah, I get that. But I'm not like, oh my, I got to collect everything with Rey on it. If it looks cool, I'll get it. But it's not like you want to collect Luke Skywalker, the original, game changer, or Obi-Wan or something, right? But to make that mistake, I'm kind of not surprised. But again, if I make that argument to play devil's advocate, as you said, then what explains the Godzilla Batman presence on everything? Right? I mean, they might as well just have him standing toe to toe, is the monster universe that they're doing with Godzilla and them, it's still within Warner Brothers, isn't it?
Depending on what you mean by monsters, because they have that monster universe at...
Oh, yeah, no, I mean like Godzilla, King Kong
that's
Island.
Still Warner Brothers, because I remember, I think King Kong was going to be with Universal, and then they moved it to Warner Bros. Because Godzilla...
I'm telling you, I predicted right now, the next film is King of Monsters. Godzilla clearly has to survive, because after that, they've already announced he's fighting King Kong, right? And then the other one I thought would probably be like a remake of the classic Godzilla All Out War, Godzilla versus everybody, right?
Right.
And it'll be like Flashpoint Paradox. Affleck got booted out, so they can replace him with a younger guy, or they bring in Jeffrey Dean Morgan to do the Thomas Wayne Batman. And Affleck will just drop in the Godzilla universe, and by pure bare knuckle fisted will just punch Godzilla. I know that iguanas have a vein in their foot, and so I punched Godzilla between the toe. And he fell over and died. And when he fell over and died, his spine stabbed Ghidorah and Rodan. So they're all dead. And King Kong and Mothra, well, of course, they're buddies with me because, they'll do the whole Jurassic Park thing. They'll just nod their head at each other. And
nod
then,
their head.
Yeah, he'll fly off on top of Mothra. He'll be on top of Mothra flying away, and Mothra will be on King Kong's shoulder like a parrot, and it'll be like, no, Batman.
It's getting that way. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
It'll make $1.5 billion. And James Cameron will be like, what the why didn't I think of that? Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. That won't happen. Unless Jeff Johns writes it. Anyways, but, no, I'm just kidding. Not Jeff Johns. Frank Miller.
Well, I will say that, though. I didn't read any of his latest Dark Knight series, but I did see that I guess this was kind of his, like, I'm sorry, Superman story. I guess in the last issue, they have the scene where, like, Batman's gonna go take on this group of Kryptonians, and Superman just stops him, like, no, I'm fighting. So he goes, and then as usual, here come the Kryptonians to pummel on Superman. So it's like, oh, this again.
Yeah.
But instead, he comes back and he beats all of them up, and while Batman's watching, realizing that this whole time, every time he's fought him, including the Dark Knight, he wasn't fighting Superman trying to fight him. He was fighting Superman like, okay, I'll let you do this. And he realized that Superman had much more than just a brawling set. He was taking these guys out with precision.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool, good job. A little late because I don't think as many people are reading this as they were reading The Dark Knight Returns, but at least there was an effort there made for him to be like, hey, okay.
Yeah.
You're not so bad, Superman.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess he saw the light at the end of the... okay. Well, I don't want to say that because I know he's sick. I'm not trying to say he's going out the door, but... Yeah, let me rephrase that. At the... Towards the tail end of his, Cool, that sounds bad. Yeah. Later in life, Frank Miller finally saw the light. And he's now... But unfortunately now he's like Bob Backlund at WrestleMania 10. I saw a light. Backlund, what happened? Oh, but Bob, what happened? Backlund, what happened? I saw a light.
That was 11, though.
Yeah, I always get those two confused. Oh yeah, it was 11. Yeah, 10 was the classic championship match between Bret Hart and Yokozuna, where Hulk Hogan won.
No, that was 9.
Damn. I don't know anything about WrestleMania.
10 was Bret Hart, where they had, like, instead of doing a triple threat, they had basically 2 different championship matches. You had Lex Luger versus Yokozuna. The winner fought Bret Hart. And so the end was Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. Bret Hart getting redemption from the year before. So off topic, going back into this topic. So the other thing... I
always thought 10 was Undertaker beat Diesel.
No, it was 12.
12. Jeez, man, I know nothing about WrestleMania. Gosh.
So
I used to have my little VHS tape, The Best of WrestleMania, narrated by Michael... No, wait, was it Michael Cole? It was Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly. That's how. There you go. So, anyways, that was the greatest. It was like a 30-minute long VHS because, and my brother was like, I thought they were gonna show every WrestleMania. I'm like, on a VHS tape, 14 WrestleManias on a VHS tape. What is wrong with you?
So one of the things I actually found interesting. I don't know if this is like something maybe to look at and say, hey, maybe it's a reason to give hope for Superman is the fact that now Frank Miller, I'm not saying that it's going to be, this is going to be the greatest thing, but the fact that now he's doing a Superman project.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's, wow. I think they're doing a year 1.
Sorry. Hang on. Probably won't even answer. Hola? Hola? That's how you do it. And you'd be like, it wasn't me. I don't speak Spanish. Sorry. Okay. So Frank Miller's going to do a Superman book.
Yeah.
You had my interest, and now you have my attention. Tell me more, sir. This is breaking news to me.
Let me see if I can pull it up. But I think he's doing a year one project. And again, I'm not like, oh, this is going to be the greatest thing, but just the fact that...
Oh, I was just about to criticize it, too, right? I was just about to criticize him because he had said, I think recently, too, he's like, well, why would I make Superman the main top dog in a book about Batman? The book's about Batman. If I did Superman, then I would make it about... And of course, I rolled my eyes like, yeah, right, why don't you do it then? You had all this time, you know. So, you know what? I'm interested now. Man, maybe he is trying to flip the script.
Well,
I will... I'm sorry, what?
I was to say, I remember, like, I think you were the one that told me that there were, like, later interviews where he's like, no, I like Superman. It's just that, you know, well, like you just said, why would he make Superman the main guy in the Batman story? So...
He kind of is the reverse of me, apparently. What he was trying to say was that, like, he's the reverse of my position. Not like he knows who I am or gives. But, I mean... How, like I just said, I'm Superman all the way, and then Batman to a point.
Right.
Well, he's like the opposite of that. He's Batman number one, Superman right behind him, but to a point. So,
right.
Yeah, you know what, man? I will say it right now. I will get on here and I will kiss the Dark Knight Returns. I will go out and actually, for once, I will go out and pay money to buy the Dark Knight Returns.
Intentionally
buy it. I won't do that thing where, like, I buy 2 other books so I can get the Dark Knight Returns free, you know? It's like a deal, but I will buy it. I will come on this podcast. We'll put video up. I will kiss Batman's freaking blue underwear and just be like, okay, that's a little weird, but I will do that and just be like, you know what, Frank, I respect you now, sir. If you go out on top and go out like freaking John Elway winning back-to-back Super Bowls, and he finished the Dark Knight Returns story and then made an incredible Superman story, an incredible Superman book, I will call him the greatest. I will call him the most. Maybe not prolific, but the most the big event writer, the biggest big event writer of all time is what I would call him, and crown him. That I think Alan Moore is unquestionably untouchable as the greatest writer of all time in comic book, fantasy history of our generation era. But I'll give Frank Miller his props if he does that.
I'm trying to find out if they have I could have sworn they had an artist announced for it, but I can't find it.
Well, you got to figure. I would also figure that he's going to have Klaus Johnson work on it with him, Klaus Janson, and some of the old. He likes to bring back some for these big events. He likes to bring back some of the old timers that worked with him on Dark Knight Returns. I'm certain the newer guys will get in on it. Like, I can't see the new guys not wanting to get a piece of the action there. Like Patrick Zurcher or somebody probably will do some work on it. Okay, I will look forward to that. I have a little bit of positivity here, more than I thought. I'm becoming a little bit more positive. Listening to you and all your negativity. I'm just.
Well, no, I threw that as like it might be grounds for like, okay, I mean, maybe there's some positive to look for in the comic world still, because, like I said, it might end up being something that does more damage than good.
Yeah,
But just the fact that they're making that. He's coming on and now he's doing a Superman project. Yeah. It's like, okay.
It's so strange because, I mean, I understand how incredibly cheesy we sound with all this hope that we have, especially because, I get it. They did everybody's over the top with that Rogue One and all that nonsense. Hope. This is like the Generation Hope. Generation Dope Hope. Hopey Dope. Hopey, right? And now I sound like freaking Sarah Palin. How's all that hopey dopey wopey stuff working out for you guys? I think that's exactly what she said, word for word. But yeah, it's like everybody else. So we sound cheesy where we're like,
right.
Hope, man. It's not an S. It stands for hope, and we're like, well, here on Earth, hope is the only word we have. So, but yeah, we are. I mean, we're both hopeful, but hope is not reality, and that's why it's hope. Unless you're married to a woman named Hope.
And it is reality.
Yeah. I dated a girl named Hope once. She cheated on me with a girl named Chastity. So anyways,
No, I was just trying to see if I can find it, but I just okay, the main thing is that they're doing a Frank Miller story for Superman.
I mean, and again, ultimately, as we're kind of talking about that, it's sort of the thing again for me where it's like, I understand. Like I said, we fully understand how cheesy it is. But I mean, we've talked about it before because it's so cliche to just talk about hope and hope,
Right.
hopiness. And especially because, like I said in the movies, it's been such an integral part of the film. Even I think the trailer, the third trailer for Man of Steel was like the trailer of hope, and the theme song was called "An Ideal of Hope." Right, and then they really kind of came on heavy with that idea. But I'm very hopeful, and the Justice League trailer. Now that I know we kind of were passing each other in the city, and so we were able to share a little bit of our thoughts on it. But it's like, yeah, I'm just here we go again. I'm so hopeful that the whole fabric of the film, the whole fabric of the concept, if that's what they're doing with that is such a big deal.
Right.
Again, the DC universe. It works because of how epic the Superman character, how grand he is, and how epic and grand he can be. And so, if he's the fabric, like the theme song is the theme song for the trailer, and he's the fabric of the Justice League. If he's the fabric that holds, Batman and all those characters together, if he's the fabric of the film, then just give me one supercharged up moment or one supercharged up entrance. I don't care if it's akin to, I don't care if it's just like Luke Skywalker at the end of Force Awakens, although I'd be a little bit disappointed that he's not in it. But if it's, now that for me will hit me as a Superman fan the way that seeing Luke hit the people that love Force Awakens, right? I don't get it, I don't understand it, but the way I hear them talk about it will be how I would react to it if he's that, and again, they better do it right, but I'm begging with everything in me. Not begging. I'm hoping, again, with everything in me, that the final shot of the Justice League, if they were to just take those panels that I talked about that were in Future's End, where Superman is just large and in charge, and he takes up the panels, and I don't care if he's wearing the t-shirt and the boots, and everybody's like, "Wah!" I don't care if he's like that, but just to see Superman, again, just flying off and flying straight, just looking like a mean-ass Christopher Reeve going to go handle some business, right? And, but again, you mentioned it. Your brother, he said he saw. Hey, wait a minute. When Batfleck is looking at that screen, it looks like there's through the red cape of Superman. It almost looks like there are Supergirl's boots in flesh tones, like that's Supergirl's legs, right? She's some tattooed up Supergirl for some reason, or maybe that's the outfit bringing Superman back. I don't know. He's looking up Kryptonian technology. Right. I don't know, but. You're like, oh my! There was a worry, like it hits you like, oh man, is that what it's going to be? They're going to bring Supergirl maybe, and then in the next movie, Supergirl will talk about some legendary, like Star Trek 3, right? I come to ask for a power for tower. What? It has not been done since ages past, and then only in legend, right? And it's like it's not logical, and they're going to go through that whole thing, right? Where Superman is concerned, where Kal-El, my cousin Kal is concerned, logic, whatever. So, anyways. And they do that, and then maybe he'll show up. So I understand that. But again, if the entire fabric is just Superman everywhere, Gal Gadot, I think she was just speaking to just please the fans, because what she said didn't mean anything. They asked her at Comic-Con, about Superman, and she says, well, if you're a Superman fan, I think you're going to be just, so pleased with the film.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because it was like, that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, just off of the trailer alone, just that could be exactly what she's talking about. Is they praise him so much, so you'll be a fan of him if you do that. I would be more. I'm kind of looking more forward to what Jeff Johns said. No, you're not a fan, but what he said.
What are you talking about? I love Jeff Johns. I would go to the ends of the earth and work endlessly entirely. Jeff Johns, don't listen to this fool. I will work for you and bring you your coffee and do anything to get a job and a contract working for you, the great Jeff Johns, unmatched in time. What did he say? What was the words about Smog, right? Great Jeff Johns, unmatched by any force on this earth. I love you, Jeff Johns. Let me smile. Here, listen to the ding on my teeth when I smile and look at you lovingly. Ding.
So
disclaimer.
Yeah. So he had, I guess there was on Twitter, there was this, I don't remember what site it was. They put in a top 5 list, the best Superman moments in the cinematic universe. And then he commented, "Get ready for your list to change." So even if it's again like a Frank Miller thing.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, on that one.
Even if it doesn't live up to it, the fact that he's saying that he thinks they're going to do something that's going to, I don't know where on that list it'll fall, but that has me a little more hopeful than Gal's. You'll be a fan. You'll be happy if you're a fan, because at least that one shows the idea that he's gonna do he has to be in it. He's gonna do something that's gonna make that.
Yeah.
You would hope.
Yeah,
it could end up just being like he's responsible. I can't do air quotations on here, but I would say responsible in his,
actually, you really was actually with his hands in the air doing air quotations.
I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't help. But that he's
make sure when you make your air quotations for this podcast, for this audio podcast, make sure to direct the air quotes directly into the pop filter in front of the microphone.
You can hear them going.
Wait, you ready? Are you ready? That's the sound of air quotes. So, anyways.
So, yeah, they could just end up being that he's responsible.
Now, shut up. Shut up.
For bringing them together by inspiring Batman. So, I hope that's not the case, but that could end up being just what he's talking about. Like, well, he's responsible in that way.
You are correct. Yeah, it means nothing to me coming from Jeff Johns, because on Twitter and that way, yeah. And here's the difference, though, because I know you and everybody else would say, hypocrite, stone him. No, because I said the same thing that John said on Twitter, but see, he saw everything up close and he knew what was going on. But yeah, I remember he was on Twitter saying, "Oh my, Patty Jenkins reminds me so much of Donner. She's the next Donner. You're gonna love Gal. Gal's gonna be the next Chris Reeve. This is gonna be the next Donner film, and Wonder Woman, all that stuff." And then that was hot trash garbage. But anyways, let's leave that alone.
There you go. So, and looking for the anti-life.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I am the anti-life equation hater, except because I'm an anti-life equator, like Darkseid Seed, whatever his name is. I don't care though. I roll with my boy Stephen Wolf. That's my boy Ciaran Hinds. I think that's how you say it. Is it Ciaran Hinds?
Syrian.
Yeah, I have loved that guy for forever. That guy's the greatest actor ever. He has suffered a stroke at birth or something, because he acts with from his nose up. I just love it. I love it. He's in The Sum of All Fears, and he's just Chechnya is a personal matter. What you're saying here is that a man may sleep with another man's wife, and that afterwards we can all live under the same roof. But what happens is the husband buys a gun. It's great, man. I love him. I love it. I freaking love that guy. He's such a great presence. And when when the trailer, I'm telling you, I was like, yes. That's what I wanted. The way exactly what I want from him. Exactly what I want is when he was just like, no lanterns, no Kryptonians. Well, he actually says Kryptonians, but you can hear they edited out to say no Kryptonian. So that's why your thing about Supergirl and all that stuff, right? I'm thinking there's something to that, because you listen to that, they heavily edited that S out. I fully believe he said, no lanterns, no Kryptonians. But in the trailer, it sounds like no Kryptonian. And then I think there's an explosion or something that kind of wigs you out of it. So, coming back to what we were talking about exactly, that again, we're hopeful, but not certain in any real sense that anything is going on. We obviously cannot be certain to say that, yes, we're for sure, we think Superman's going to be a huge part and be paid so much respect and all that. But, at the same time, it's we just have to wait and see, because, man, I realized, because I've been so busy, and I finally caught up on 2 years worth of movies, and I was able to clear my head, put everything out of my mind, actually able to sit down and fully absorb Jurassic World, Kong Skull Island, both of the versions of Suicide Squad and all that. So I was able to go back and catch up on everything. And man, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, trailers suck. Marketing sucks. So much that I thought was good. It used to be you could really peg down a film based on what people would say, based on the marketing, the trailers. You could take a good enough of an educated guess and get an idea if you were going to really, how you were going to react to a film. I don't think that's the truth anymore because Batman vs Superman. We talked about that. All the marketing, all the trailers. I was so negative and I was like manic depressive going in to see that movie, and I came out. I was like tore my shirt open like freaking Richard Pryor. Had nothing underneath me. And and flew out of the theater because I was like so happy. I should have ran out of the theater flying. The Philly Flash. Walk by a mirror, scare myself. Yeah, but yeah, it's like now that I really love a lot of these movies where it's like nothing should have made me think I was gonna love it. So we're just in a wait and see game. I don't know what other position you could have on Justice League. I don't know if you have a different view of it, but
no, I'm gonna definitely wait and see because you just don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
As I said, this is essentially basically when they did the shift to throw Jeff Johns kind of as the guy to oversee everything. This is the first film that he's going to do. So it's like, okay, well, what impact does that make? That's why I don't know how it's going to turn out because I don't know what impact that's going to make.
Oh my God, Flash though, loving it. Watch, I'm going to wind up hating him. Love freaking Flash. Yeah, because the John C. Reilly character in Kong, I hated everything about him in the trailers, the previews. I did not want it.
I was gonna say I watched it too. The trailers. I was like, why is this guy in this movie?
Yeah.
Then when I actually watched it, I was like, okay, this guy's enjoyable.
Yeah, I know. It was like a great character,
yeah.
but yeah, like probably better than the two leads, honestly.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, it had more humanity than freaking Miss Marvel and Loki, which that's weird. That wound up being that way. But anyways.
Don't forget, he's a member of the Nova Corps. So.
Oh my God! Wow. Yeah, you're right.
Nick Fury was there.
Hey, wait a minute. Jeez, is John Goodman in Marvel somewhere? Man. Anyways, so there was a huge comic presence.
I didn't realize that until I watched one of those videos on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
How it should have ended, and they had a joke where it was all the Marvel characters.
That is funny. I didn't think about that.
And I was like, oh snap, that's a bunch of Marvel characters.
Yeah, I know. Freak, man, that's crazy. And then, freaking. Scarlett Johansson was the lizard monster. No, I'm just kidding. So, there I go again, you freaking filmophobe. I'm phobic of good films. So, anyways, what are we talking about? He was a great character, and I mean, honestly, I don't buy action figures and the kind of the statues that I kind of stick to the pop vinyls because. Right. And with the pop vinyls, I avoided pop vinyls for so long because I knew I'd get addicted and go broke, and then I finally did, But for those figures, I actually just don't like those figures. Okay. I'm just not that big of a fan anymore of like certain action figures, the stand-up figures, the statues. Some of them are cool, like the ones you sent me the other day in the text. The Justice League figures have been previewed. What do they call the Kobayashi figures or something like that? Yeah, I could pronounce it. That's why I said Kobayashi.
I'm pretty sure I didn't pronounce it right.
That's why I said Kobayashi, because I've been saying Kobayashi Maru since 1982. But anyways, but I would buy an actual statue or an action figure. If they made a 31-inch like the Superman stand-up figures and stuff I would buy the John C. Reilly character. And that says a lot for me because, like I said, I don't get into that stuff. I don't think they made any pop vinyls of him. But if they did, I'd buy him. I'd buy him before I bought Kong. Well, Kong was pretty cool too, but it's like it's one of those things, right? So I have no idea. Maybe I'll hate Aquaman and hate the Flash, but I'm liking what I see from them. I love them. I'm definitely gonna get the pop vinyl of the Flash. It looks really cool. I like the design of the pop vinyl. The on screen, it's still kind of hit or miss, but I just thought it was. I thought the trailer was great, right. And the first one, everything beforehand, there was nothing really moved me at all. But I just thought this one had a lot of the humor and stuff. Once they got, like away from the opening scene where they randomly try to shove Wonder Woman down your mouth, right? Which normally you think with Gal Gadot you'd be into because, But, once they got, it looked really, really good. I love Flash though, because he's the fastest character, and I just love they got away on him, and he's just like, oh, wow. Well, that's rude. Yeah. I thought that that's my favorite part. I still laugh hilariously, and that's where I'm like, you know what? We don't want to get too deep into it, but with Terrio working on a script, and then Snyder supposedly took it over, and then now the reshoots and rewrites from Joss Whedon, and who knows who else they might have brought up. right now, I'm confident they're starting to find that old balance where Tom Mankiewicz and Richard Donner had for the old Superman films because, I wouldn't want to go, scene for scene and compare or whatever, but the stuff that I still hysterically fall apart and laugh at from the old Christopher Reeve films, I'm laughing the same way about a lot of the stuff now. And that's been, not since the Christopher Reeve, films have I had that kind of experience where I'll still laugh at the same joke in Superman 3 because it's just hysterical. So I love the Flash thing. There's something else which off the top of my head I can't really pick up on right now. But there was something else in that trailer that was just like, you know what? Starting to win me over here. Like, I think maybe they've kind of finally have found the right sweet spot. It's just a shame that Zack Snyder's not going to get, much credit for it because, except for people that are going to do the whole sympathy thing now all of a sudden, right? The people, I have said horrible things about Zack Snyder in the past, and now I take it all back, and I won't speak. But it's like, no, I won't speak about him at all. I'll just say, hey, Zack, hope you're doing good. It's like, talk about Frank Miller. Oh, now, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, what was the experience of the trailer for you? I mean, was it?
I hated it. Absolutely couldn't stand it. It was just like, this is the worst. No, I loved it.
I was like, wait a minute.
No, I loved it. I was legit watching it over and over and over again just because.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of things like I got chills. I admit there's a little bit of disappointment with the Batman putting over Superman just because it's like, but you didn't show too much of that in the movie. But that's all right because now you're really praising him, and then when I realized, oh shoot, his theme is playing, and then it just really felt like,
yeah.
Although I then did get a little concerned of like, I'm kind of like when they had the end scene where Alfred's talking to someone,
Yeah.
It's heavily implied that it's Superman, and that has me a little concerned because it's like, would they really just give that like yeah, he's talking to Superman, there he is, or is that like to throw us off and he's talking to someone else? Or
well, yeah, people break down every frame,
right?
But what's weird too, this is weird. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. I got migraine problems. I would have a five alarm headache in 2 seconds if I tried to break down every frame of a trailer and then zoom in and try to really get the eyeglasses and look. But yeah, somebody did do it. That's the other thing too. Everybody else is going to do it, so you just wait for everybody else to do it for you. Somebody looked up the fact that in Alfred's glasses there's a green reflection, and then in the trailer you hear there's a whoosh and a kind of humming sound. They're like, is it the Green Lantern? Now my theory, just pulling it right out of my loins. I think that Hal Jordan is going to become the Green Lantern in these Justice League. I don't know, in this film or I don't know if they're still doing a part 2 or whatever. I think that's how it's going to work because the way he says no lanterns, what did they destroy the entire core? I'm gonna take a leap of faith and say they wouldn't be stupid enough, especially with a guy like Jeff Johns who. The guy just loves to like, gee, I know whose work we should adapt for film. Mine! That freaking video he put out when he was like, the Green Lantern character was on hard times. And then an epic, seminal story written by somebody whose name avoids me, but he was very handsome, Like, that YouTube video was hysterical, right? So, like, I can't see him saying, oh, the Green Lantern Corps has been killed or destroyed, or... I can't see that. So what I'm thinking is maybe at worst or at best, whatever... however you look at it, maybe Steppenwolf and Apocalypse, Darkseid, maybe they killed the Green Lantern that was in charge of the sector. So the Ring is actively searching for, Alfred's just talking to the Ring, the floating ring, right? And then it takes off and he's like, I wasn't talking, what the hell was that? I'm talking to Superman over here, right? So that's why he's like, no lanterns. My boy Ciaran Hinds, no lanterns, no Kryptonian. I'm going to bet on that for now. So I don't know if that was him in the cave or in the bat. I think it was the Bat cave he was in, right?
I thought they were outside.
Oh, okay. See, that's the other problem I have is like, what did Superman just crawl out of the dirt and he's walking all like that's why he's rumbling the drink like he's the dinosaur, the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, or
see the other thought is that's from his sonic booms. Like he's flying and it's like each boom. Is
okay. Yeah. Somebody says they saw a cape and it's so dark I can't see the cape.
Well. You can't see a cape, but I think I know what they're talking about because like
it's sort of an outline.
Well, like along the shoulder area, it's red, and so it would leave people to think that's Superman's cape.
Yeah.
Or someone wearing a red cape.
Again, though, it could be Supergirl.
It could also be
some people
Flash
think
from the future.
Well,
or Flash from the past.
You're right. Somebody pointed out though, what if they? I would love this. What if they really pull the rug out from under us in the best way possible? Green reflection, red cape, Martian Manhunter, baby. Martian Manhunter's supposed to be there. That would be awesome. I would give them props for that because they would have double whammied us. It's the Green Lantern. It's Superman. Holy, it's John Jones, right? So that could be interesting. I just don't like the idea. I hope it's not like Superman digs it, like those all the cliches of a dead guy digging himself out. I understand a lot of people would like to see it, but I don't want to see Henry Cavill laying butt naked on the floor with his leg positioned just so much that you can't see his crack and everything.
Well, I got bad news for you. Gonna happen.
Yeah, you're probably right. Sweaty, steamy, muddy, naked Henry Cavill walking up to Alfred, and Alfred's like, "Oh my," because he's George Takei for some reason all of a sudden. But George Takei would make an awesome Alfred. I don't deserve you, Alfred. I know. But sweaty men everywhere in tight suits and capes. I only say that because I'm a whatever, man. I'm none of you can't accuse me of nothing, man. I don't even have a. I'm not even a freaking. I don't self-identify with all you people. I don't self-identify with your terms. I'm a freaking non-existent androgen popsicle. Okay. Somebody's offended because somebody actually probably claims to be one of those things. But anyways, or they actually are that. Excuse me. Yeah. So I kind of ran out of steam, if you couldn't tell.
Superman.
Yeah. The Justice League.
Well, yeah. Okay. So and then that's the thing with Superman we were talking about. I think this is the biggest part, as basically from Justice League on. I think is going to set the tone for Superman. I sadly don't have a lot of faith in the comic world.
Yeah. Oh, he's in my opinion, he's dead and buried in the comic world, which is what would make it so hysterical. So though that's history. That's a tragic view of the world right there. History's greatest ironies, right? And just the tragic view of the world is like this. History is what it is. The world is what it is, and it's not a happy fairy tale, right? Like Germany, who goes to war with the world twice. That they declare war twice against the world, right? And try to take over everything, particularly all of Europe. And they're defeated twice, and they're embarrassed twice, and split apart into pieces. And then 10, 15 years after they're finally back together in one piece, they wind up in charge of Europe as the head of the European Union.
Right.
That's irony if I've ever seen it, right? So what would save us from Superman having such an irony? The one guy who buried Superman for 30 years might be the one guy who has to resurrect him from the dead, literally, Frank Miller's comic book. You know what? That may just be the sweet poetry for us. We'll look at that as sweet poetry, but it'd be really one of history's greatest ironies in pop culture. But other than that, like I said, if that doesn't happen, though, to me, he's dead and buried in the comics. Because every time... Even if they give him a good run, it only lasts for so long, and then it's back to the same old track.
Okay, now we need to put this over, so make him get...
Yeah. So I'm very hopeful about the Superman films, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This is from Justice League on, and so far, the way they've... Even though he hasn't been shown on there, the way they've talked about him, the fact that his music is playing...
Yeah.
Has me hopeful that we're going to see him kind of being put back in the spot where he should be at, where it's, he's the guy. He's Superman.
I'm hoping it's there we go again. I'm hoping it's Matthew Vaughn.
That gets it direct.
Yeah, and it's not just his comment about we need a little more comedy, a little more lightheartedness and charm. He said roughly that about the Superman films. But I watched the trailer for what I would have normally. I would never have watched the movie. Would never give it a chance. Would think it's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life. But I watched the trailer for the sequel to Kingsman, the Secret Service, and it's the trailer that has the Frank Sinatra music in it. And I was blown away and my jaw dropped. Not because I'm going to go and watch those now. I'll give them a chance. I'll look up the last one and everything. But Matthew Vaughn talked about, in the trailer, he was being talked. Hold on, let me rephrase. He was being talked about as directing Superman, and I saw what I thought was the great respect and epicness he was trying to bring to this Kingsman series, and I thought, well, if he does that for the Kingsman, and he feels that, right off the bat, the first thing he has to say is, you got to make sure you get Superman right and make it fun and everything. I was like, whoa, this guy could totally change the game, and I love X-Men First Class. I love that film. And I think I've told you this. When I saw the end battle, and just everything about that film, let's just say A+, A+, A+. So much that if you really sit down and watch that film, it is brilliant. And I've talked to people who don't like X-Men, who don't like DC and everything, and for some reason they've been like, man, I'd like to see a Superman or a Batman film like that with the Magneto character and the again, two characters that are total opposites, and how do they work together. And I just thought the film had such the right tone, the right presence, but that end battle, the special effects, and I remember, man, I was like Chris Reeve in Superman 2 when he purposely, I guess, trips over the bear, and then he's trying to kind of quickly argue his way out of it, and then he just kind of smacks his fist down because he's like, darn it, all right, there's no way out of this now, right? That's the way I smacked my leg exactly like that when I saw the girl flying through the sky and over the water. I don't know what effects team he got or how they did that, but he oversaw that, and that's in his film. I was so angry. I thought the flying and those effects of people moving through the air and moving at high speeds, I thought it was so much better than Man of Steel, and I was angry about it. And so I'm like, whoa, so if he can get a hold of it, and I'm not trying to trash Man of Steel, I'm not trying to get in that debate, I like Man of Steel a ton, but it's like, just the flying could have been a lot better. I like that he moves at speeds that are so fast and everything, but I don't like that every time he takes off and flies, it seems like he has to do the butt lift off, and then when he's got contrails smoking out of his behind, right? Not really. I'm not that negative on it, but some people say it's that way, right? It's like they don't have to do that every time. There could be a more graceful approach to the effect of him flying, and I am heartbroken that they didn't spend more time framing the camera on him when he's first learning to fly and he's flying through the what looks like the Grand Canyon almost, right? Like I like it, but if they had held the shot a little bit longer and made it less blurry, they were trying to give you the effect like he's moving so fast you couldn't even film him, right? If they had just tweaked that up once or twice, I would say Man of Steel is perfection in terms of the effects and the look of it. But that's similar to what Matthew Vaughn did in First Class. So if he brings that plus an appreciation and love, my God, sign that guy, lock him up for like a 6-movie deal, and let's just get it done, right? Let's get it done. Let's finish. Let's establish and finish what couldn't happen with Donner, which was a shame. Sorry, I kind of got going there, but
I mean, that's so far of the people that have heard or that have been talking about it, that's the guy I'm going for.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried because he was thrown out as one of the names for The Flash. So it'd be cool if he did The Flash, but then it's like, well, then who does Superman? I'm
not worried about that because you know who's going to do The Flash? The two that just got fired from Han Solo who left. They just come back. Come on back. Come on back.
You know what? Probably.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Yeah. Teach you a lesson, huh? You're going to go play with the mouse, huh? Yeah. The mouse house, huh? Now you learned a lesson, huh? The mouse is... Yeah.
Although, I don't know, maybe it was just because it was Comic-Con or whatever, but I did kind of get a vibe that, I don't know, there seemed like a lot more interest or whatever out of, or maybe it was just because it was Comic-Con and he was there, so he tried to, ask about Superman, but the topic of him and Superman, I guess, I kept on seeing that come up during the Comic-Con weekend. I guess they talked with one of his partners who kind of, he didn't say that he was looking for it, but kind of the way they worded it sounded kind of like it was it would be something he wants to do.
Matthew Vaughn, you mean?
Yeah, Matthew.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Vaughn.
I'm telling you, man, I'm all for it. More.
I'd be cool with that. That's so far the people I know. That's the guy who
watch the film suck. It just totally sucked. Bury Superman because it's so bad. Listen, I'm gonna say this because Matthew Vaughn brings up one interesting point, and you know what? I would be very, very nervous. Not because I was actually nervous it would go bad. I would just be nervous about the whole thing, but kind of a good nervous. Because I thought to myself, so if my first reaction when they're with Matthew Vaughn, if he takes over and directs Man of Steel 2. And I was like, so does this mean that Matthew Vaughn will then be shoved out of the way and replaced by Bryan Singer? Because that's what he did to him on X-Men, right? Like, if Matthew Vaughn went in there and cleaned up Bryan Singer's mess that he left behind because he left and Ratner made a bigger mess, right? It's like, so if Matthew Vaughn cleans up Superman, as Singer pushes his way back in there, right? Honestly, though, I think I don't want that to happen anytime soon. But I'm all for letting Singer come back and take another crack at it. If he comes with his entire team, that's the key.
Okay, well, this is long before everything came out about him. How are we supposed to know all the stuff that was going to be exposed about him?
Christopher McQuarrie, the guys that worked on writing and fleshing out how to do X-Men again, the guys that worked closely with Matthew Vaughn and then worked on Days of Futures Past, which I think Days of Futures Past is like Teflon, like A+ film, right? So I would be all for that. I would love to see one more crack, one more shot at it, one more swing at the apple. I'm trying to make a phrase there, and I couldn't make it work the right way. But that wouldn't be good, because if you swing at an apple like you swing at a baseball, you'll destroy it, and
what would happen if you?
That wouldn't be good. But well, the other thing too is that Bryan Singer. You watch the documentary "The Death of Superman Lives." It's pretty clear Bryan Singer was bossing Warner Brothers and DC around. Bryan Singer will be, if you think he's a loose cannon, right? Imagine him as like a bowling ball going down the lane, right? And DC and Warner Brothers and even Jeff Johns and everybody, and then Christopher McQuarrie and those guys, they'll be like the little rails you put up for the kids, so that the kids don't go down. What is it called when you go down the
bumpers?
No, I know the bumpers. Yeah, but when you roll the ball down your gutter, we won't. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm a very in tune person with using metaphors and phrases. So, anyways, but I just thought it was just funny, because it's sort of like this weird circle that Singer left for Superman and all that stuff, and then Vaughn came in, that he bumped him out, all that stuff, right? And there'd be this weird circle of weirdness. Yeah.